This trip was all about shaking off the last bit of winter, riding into the first stretch of good spring weather, and letting the road remind you of why you do this. My wife, Susie, and I set out from Seattle for a 2-night, 3-day ride to Port Angeles, one of the gems we discovered a couple years ago when we rode the full Olympic Peninsula. This time, we wanted to stay put, soak in the town, and let the road take care of the rest. We rolled out under the perfect early spring skies, the kind of day that makes you fall back in love with the Pacific Northwest. The first leg took us north through the neighborhoods toward Edmonds, a route I always enjoy. The houses, the trees, the little glimpses of the sound. It's just a beautiful stretch to ride, calm and scenic before the real miles begin. To reach the Olympic Peninsula, you got 2 main ferry options, the Edmonds-Kingston ferry, or one of the ferries straight out of downtown Seattle. Personally, I prefer Edmonds-Kingston. It's less hectic, more relaxed, and it drops you right onto the peninsula side without dealing with Seattle's downtown traffic. One of the best parts about being on a motorcycle, you skip past the line of cars right up to the front. We weren't alone. There was another CB500X rider, and we shared a little nod, a little chat, and that kind of instant camaraderie you only get on 2 wheels. The ferry itself is just a short hop, maybe 30 minutes, but it's the kind of reset you don't realize you need. Coffee, snacks, ocean air, the water stretched out around you. Off the ferry, we picked up the 101 and followed the highway northwest, weaving in and out of light camaraderie with the other CB500X rider before he peeled off. The weather held beautifully, the ride smooth and quiet, all the way into Port Angeles. We stayed at the Lionhead Hotel, a spot right on the water. Our room looked across the coast, one of those rare moments where the hotel marketing photos don't lie. After a quick break, we headed to Hurricane Ridge, one of the area's must-see spots. On the way up, we hit a little traffic. Turns out, there were bears. A mama and 3 cubs crossing the road. It was cool, sure, but people were getting impatient, trying to inch forward or swerve around, and you just want to yell. What are you doing? Just chill. Let the bears do their thing. Eventually, we parked the bike and set off on foot. There was still snow up there, even in the sun, which made for a surprisingly tough hike. But the payoff was worth it. Stunning views, fresh air, and even some deer making their rounds. Dinner that night was at the Kokopelli Grill. Standard American fare, but solid. I got a salmon sandwich that I still remember a month later. That says something. Morning routine. I always wake up before Susie, so I'd slip out to the Pink Pony Cafe right by the hotel. Their egg and croissant sandwich was simple perfection, and their shot-in-the-dark coffee, drip with 2 shots of espresso, was the fuel I needed. That day, we hit Merrimack Falls, a must-do hike. Not too difficult, but breathtaking. If you can't make it to the HOH rainforest, this spot gives you a good taste of that deep, green, moss-draped beauty. Dinner that night was at next door gastropub, where I had a killer burger. One of those plates that hits the spot after a day of riding and hiking. We spent the rest of the evening wandering town. We stopped into the Hub, a local artist space with rentable studios and a laid-back, creative vibe. They're actually planning on their first big motorcycle ride around the peninsula, something they're working on organizing for the future. I'm definitely curious about that. The idea of circling the whole 101 with a big group sounds pretty wild. At Anime Cat, I picked up my first ever manga, the first volume of Berserk, because why not lean into the nerd art? We also hit up a few antique shops, where I scored a barely used Electro-Harmonix Super Ego pedal for $70. Usually they go for like $120, $150 online. Total win. Oh, and the pawn shop loaded up on DVDs, including a favorite low-budget horror flick, Banshee Chapter. There's just something about hunting through small town shops for those kinds of finds. On our last morning, before heading home, we stopped at B&B Lavender Farm. It's quieter this time of year. Without the summer festival crowds, we ended up getting a private little tour. We learned about all the different types of lavender, saw the distilling machines, and picked up a few plants to bring home. Strapped down, of course, to the back of the bike. Port Angeles is a fantastic motorcycle destination. 2 nights gives you plenty of time to explore, but even a single night, roll in on a Friday, stay Saturday, makes for a perfect weekend ride. Whether you're after winding roads, scenic views, wildlife encounters, or just a slow walk through town, this place delivers. If you've been thinking about riding out here, do it. You won't regret it. If you enjoyed this video, hit subscribe for more ride stories, builds, and motorcycle adventures. Drop a comment if you've been to Port Angeles or if you got a favorite ride I should check out next. See you on the next one.